did God give man as a medicine? Okay. Okay, what was that, young sister? The leaves of the tree for the healing of the tree. Now, for some reason, we have forgotten it. We mostly focus on the herbs. Now, I understand that trees are herbs, but God made it precise. The leaves of the tree is for the healing of the nation. Now, God didn't make a mistake, but I think we have made some mistakes. We've been focusing on the little tiny bushes and herbs, and we have neglected to study the tree. The trees really have more nutrients than the herbs. You think about the average herbs probably can go down maybe a few inches deep. Trees can go many feet below the surface. They have roots that can pull out nutrients deep into the soil. These trees are fortified with nutrients. They also have a whole lot of leaves that can actually bring in oxygen, and they can also expel carbon dioxide gas. So I really think we need to focus a lot on these trees. And one thing I like about trees, they are the easiest to remember. You can remember the trees, but it's hard to learn all them little herbs, little bushes. But to learn about the trees will be ever imprinted in our mind. So we're going to look at trees today. And we're going to see why God gave us the trees, the leaves of the trees for the healing of the nation. In Eden, the tree of life grows on the bank of the river of life. As long as Adam and Eve ate of the fruit of that tree, life was eternal. The water were life-giving. So the roots of the tree was then bathed in the water at the river of life. And so these trees were able to grow strong and deep with plenty of nutrients in them. God gave us the healing of the nation. This virtue has been lost by the river of the earth, the curse of sin. Yet every flowing river, flowing river, is a reminder to man of the river of life, which proceeds from the throne of God. So we see the little creeks and rivers and even oceans. And if we just stop a moment and pause and think that that is only a reminder of the river of life, because the rivers furnish us with water, it gives us transportation, it can give us a lot of things. It can actually give us rain, because the water can be extracted from the creeks and the ocean and the river and the clouds, and it goes through condensation and come back to us as rainwater. So the river is really important to us. And it's simply to let us think that there's life-giving powers in the river. But let us not stop short of that, because there's really no life in the river. It's simply an illustration of the only life that can give life. And we'll see that as we proceed. The source of this river is God, the fountain of the headwater of all truth, and the flowing from him who is infinite and eternal. So all of these waters and rivers really points back to God, who is the source of all life. On the new earth, that river will be restored. Christ himself will lead his people to the fountain of living waters. Thou shalt make them drink of the river of thy pleasure. For with thee is the fountain of life. As we sing this verse, oh, everyone that thirsts, the Spirit and the bride said, come. Let him that hath thirst come. Jesus said, whosoever drinketh of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst. If thou knewest the gift of God and who it is that said to thee, give me to drink, thou wouldest have asked of him, and he would have given thee living water. And we know this lady that came often to Jacob's well to gather a pitcher of water was burdened because she left thirsty every time she went. And she was hoping that somehow the virtue of Jacob could be transferred to her and would quench her thirst, but it couldn't do it. Christ offered her an opportunity to get that living waters that would quench her thirst, that she would never come again. She'd never be vacillating to and fro, carried about with every winds of doctrine. She would be satisfied with this new water that quenched her thirst. And so it would be with us if we would simply drink of that water. Every river is a type of the river of life, and every tree that grows will remind the one who listens for the voice of God of that tree of life which grows on either bank of the river. The real tree of Eden was transported to heaven, but its brought of branches are represented as hanging earthly, and its fruits and types at least have been plucked by those who have souls hungry, who are reaching upward. God has blessed us in these branches of these trees, and we're going to learn that today. You're going to probably see things that you didn't even imagine in these trees. And we've been neglecting them. We've been gathering things from the health food store and the drugstore and everywhere else, walking right by those beautiful trees that have all the properties to help restore us.
Elder Mamon.
That in every country, God has treated the environment. And so he has not neglected the earth to furnish us the things we need.
Elder Mamon.
Yes.
Sorry, we can't hear you clearly. I don't know if you can maybe face the, I don't know how. It's not clear. And the picture is not clear as well. It's not in focus. Thank you.
Can you hear it better now? Are you able to?
No.
Are you hear me?
No.
We can't see anything. I can't see anything myself here.
Okay.
I can't see anything myself.
You say you don't see anything? Okay, we have it on the screen now. Can anyone see? Can anyone see the screen?
It's a bit blurred. It's a bit blurred, Elder.
Unless you move up close, I don't know.
You can almost see. You can see this new earth, but then you can hardly read some of the other writing. It's very blurred. Oh, there we go.
That's better.
Here we go.
But
can you zoom the camera?
No,
now we can see.
Yes, the screen is fine now.
No, I can't see anything myself. Yeah. Yeah, now I can see you. It's fine now for me. Fine.
Can you see now?
yes, we can.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And we can hear you clearer as well.
Yes.
Oh, it's not there again. It's not there again now. I don't have it. I don't have it.
Brother Maxwell, it's there.
We can see. I can see.
It's because people are talking. That's why it won't come through.
No, it has gone off my screen. I can't see anything.
Okay, let's leave Elder to continue now. We can still hear the message. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Elder.
I can't see.
Okay, you got to zoom this for us to go. Okay. Okay, I'll try to project my voice as loud as I can. There will be no lack. The leaves of the tree was for the healing of the nation, and the leaves thereof for medicine. All the wars and strife of nations have come because man ate not of the fruit of the tree of life. The whole controversy of 6,000 years originated when man ate of the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. So all our troubles has come about because we have disobeyed God and have eaten of that which we shouldn't have. And we have brought woe upon this earth. God has a remedy for us all. All nations who continue to eat of that fruit, the scars, the bruises caused by eating its fruit, will be healed by the leaves of the tree of life. So that means that all sickness, all disease will be healed by the leaves of the tree. Now, God has given us a message where we don't have to fear. God has given us a solution for these problems, and it's found in the leaves of the tree. And I truly believe we have neglected to study the trees and the properties in the leaves, because all of these trees and all these leaves was nothing but pointing to Christ, who is the tree of life and the bread of life. As the redeemed partake of the fruit of the tree of life, to their soul will come redemption story. By individuals and through nations, God has attempted to demonstrate the possibility of living under the shadow of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and yet eat of the fruit from the tree of life. In other words, God recognized that we are living under the knowledge of the tree of good and evil, which we should not have been able to do, but we're there. But in spite of that, God would permit us to eat of the fruit of the tree of life by bringing us into the knowledge that we can be restored and redeemed from that curse. Now, as we look now at some of the properties of these wonderful trees and their essential oils, we're going to see what we can do to reverse some of the problems. In particular, these trees, they house properties that will stimulate your immune system, help your immune system to function properly. They would also help reduce blood pressure, regulate your heart rate, also calm you down from anxiety and stress, bring peace and calm to your confused mind. It would also improve sleep and would give us creativity. It would give us the ability to fight against cancer and many other degenerative diseases, even depression. But we must study these little simple plants and these lofty trees in order to gain their benefits and be blessed by their properties. The power of a higher, pure, noble life is our greatest need. The world has too much of our thoughts. We are so embedded with the thoughts of this world, the fear of this world, the coming doom of this world, that we have missed the opportunity for quick preparation for the soon coming of Jesus Christ. And the kingdom of heaven is too little because it has been crowded out by all the thoughts of this world. We're thinking too much upon the fear, and I can tell you one thing: the anticipation of an event is always greater than the event. You're always going to imagine something much worse, but if you will simply have patience, you'll find it's not nearly as bad. In his effort to reach God's ideal for him, the Christian is to despair of nothing. The moral and spiritual perfection through the grace and the power of Christ is promised to all. Jesus is a source and power and a fountain of life. So we don't have to trouble ourselves. God has given this gift to every one of us. He brings us to his word, and from the tree of life present to us leads for the healing of the sin-sick soul. He lead us to the throne of God and put in our mouth a prayer through which we are brought into close contact with him. In our behalf, he set in operation the all-powerful agents of heaven. At every step we are touched with his living power. In the midst of the street of life, and on either side of the river was there the tree of life, which bare 12 manners of fruit and yield her fruit every month. And the leaves of the tree was for the healing of the nation. And there shall be no more curse. Now you may think, what is it will need to be healed once we get into the kingdom? Will we not be already free from everything? Yes, we will, but we're going to grow up to the full stature of the man Jesus Christ. And we're going to be ever growing up. You won't ever reach the full stature, but every month we get a renewed sense that we're achieving the goal Christ has set for us, that we reach his stature. And everyone will be pleased at his growth potentials. But the throne of God and of the Lamb shall be in it, and his servants shall serve him, and they shall see his face, and his name shall be in their forehead. And there shall be no more night there, and they need no candle, neither light of the sun. For the Lord giveth them light, and they shall reign forever and ever. Now let's look at these wonderful trees that God has given us, these medicine trees that every one of us have neglected to study. When I study the herbs, the flowers, the roots, the barks, and the leaves of the tree, and see the wonderful medical properties they contain, the marvelous benefit that are derived from their use, I feel that the word wonderful is inadequate to express the real truth. The phrase, the mighty miracle working powers of God, is none less too strong. If you had seen the things that have actually been done by the use of these herbs in connection with hygienic measures, you would not think for one moment that these statements are overdrawn. And many of us have to depend on other people for testimonies because we don't have a testimony for ourselves, because we haven't tried these remedies. But for those that have had an experimental knowledge in God's wonderful herbs and trees and hygienic methods, we have plenty to talk about. As I go out into the woods and see the lofty trees, I feel like taking off my hat in reverence to God for the wonderful medicine properties in these various trees for the healing of man, as well as for the use of building houses and which to live, to furnish fuel with which to cook our food, and to heat to keep us warm. So God has given us everything in these trees. He's given us food. He's given us shelter that can be built. He's given us shade from the heat. He has given us a pleasant atmosphere, and the blessed, he has given us aromatherapy by breathing in the fragrance from these trees. In itself, it has healing properties. One beautiful tree is the lofty oak tree. As this tree span out his branches, sucking into his leaves that poisonous carbon out of the air, allowing more oxygen to be penetrated for us to breathe. There's some wonderful properties about this oak tree. The inner bark of the lofty oak has wonderful healing properties, as do the leaves, the acorn, and tea of the bark. The powder of the cups are excellent for bleeding in the mouth. So if you have any problem with pyorrhea, gingivitis, any type of gum infection, then you can simply gargle your mouth, wash your mouth out with a strong tea made from the oak tree. If you're spitting up blood, you can also check that also. If you notice your stomach is always upset and you feel like nothing will stay down, have you thought about sipping on a little tea made from the oak tree? These things God has put in there to stop a bloody flux. It also will help a woman that may be having some ministry problems. The powder of the acorn made into a tea resists the poison of a venomous creature, like a poisonous spider or poisonous snake. By simply drinking the tea made from the acorns can neutralize the toxic effect. A tea made from acorn and the bark resists the force of poisonous medicine. If you've been on all type of narcotics and drugs, the tea made from the acorn and the bark of the oak tree can neutralize the poisonous effect in the body. All these things was there and we had no knowledge of it because we have not familiarized ourselves with God's nature. Nature, God has given us nature to help us. And it would also check the involuntary passing of the natural seed. So if a woman is about to have a baby and is scared that she's going to abort the baby too soon, drinking a little oak tea from the acorn and oak bark can help her carry her pregnancy to full term. It is also excellent for ulcerated bladder and bloody urine. So if you got bladder cystitis, irritated bladder, then this tea can cool down the irritation by taking some water and making a tea out of the buds, out of the bark, or even the leaves, and sipping on that can bring calm and ease to the body. It reduces inflammation. It is also very good for stopping a burning fever and infection, especially in this age of corona, when one of the main things about corona is a high fever. Have you ever thought about drinking from the acorn, the tea made from the acorn or the oak bark? We are scrambling, wishing that the world would come up with an antidote for disease. God has given us an antidote in simple herbs and plants. And we have failed to follow God. We are like the children in the days of Nehemiah. They have forgotten the language of Canaan, and all they knew was the language of the Babylonians. And so when God would say something, it was confusing. And we got to go back and learn that language all over again. The water of the leaves is especially excellent for whites, which is nothing but a vaginal infection, especially a condition that women get, vaginitis, any type of vaginal infection. You simply gush out with that. It would check vaginitis, especially if you put 1 or 2 drops of eucalyptus in it, even if it's an inflamed vaginal tract. It would calm the vaginal tract, get rid of the irritation. All these things, and I'm just getting started. It's going to overwhelm you how much God has looked out for our welfare. But we have been negligent, not to follow God. We've been lazy. God has sent forth manna for us to eat, and we are sent for God to come down and prepare us bread to eat. We're too lazy to go out and gather the manna and put it together and cook it and make cakes out of it. We expect the angels to come do it. God is not going to sanction laziness. Do you know that if you got hemorrhoids, or you got fissures or cracks in the rectum that is very painful, that oak bark tea injected in the rectum can soothe that and heal up those cracks in the rectum. If you got varicose veins, that can also turn into phlebitis, that it can also heal varicose veins. It will normalize your kidneys and your liver and your spleen and your goiter and your thyroid. It reduces the swelling of thyroid in your neck. It can also reduce the size of a tumor. It is fantastic for swelling. Now we wondering why I'm having this problem. Why is this problem going on and on and on? Have you ever thought to use the acorn and oak bark? No, I didn't. Do it grow in your yard? Yes, it do. I don't know nothing about it. Whose fault is that? Is that God's fault that you didn't know that the acorn and oak tree can do all these things to alleviate your problems? God said there's healing properties in these trees. God has given us a sign and a signal that the leaves of the tree is for the healing of the nation. You can make tea out of it. You can use it as an injection, a douche, a gargle out with it. It's good for sore throat. It's good for pulling mucus out of the system. It's a good astringent. It's good antiseptic. It can also be good for an enema, for a troubled colon. It's good for gonorrhea, also for all type of stomach problem and goiter problems. And that was all said just for one tree. Now let's look and see what God has said about the pine tree. In the stately pine, I see wonderful properties which are useful for bronchitis and also cataract, trouble with mucus built up in the lung and the respiratory system, rheumatism, kidney trouble, coughing, throat trouble, influenza, tonsillitis, and just having the croups. The pine can eliminate that. I've seen cases where I recommend pine needle tea where a man was on his way to the grave just here 3 weeks ago. Corona had debilitated him to the point that he couldn't even get out of bed. After drinking several cups of pine needle tea, day and a half, the man was up walking around as if nothing was wrong with him. And there was nothing magic about it. God had already put it in it. God cannot put obedience in us. He can't do that. He will not do that. He refused to put obedience into us. He educate us and he show us and he expect us to fall in love with him and obey him, but he will not force obedience. Let's look at some of the properties of the pine tree. The pine tree in particular has sap in it. The sap can be made into many types of things, especially for sores that won't heal, inflammation. You can extract this sap out of the pine tree by simply cutting a piece of the bark off, exposing the inner meat of the bark, and it will begin to drain out this sap that eventually become hard. It is very good because it can be used for a number of things. One, it can assist wound healing. It can help heal up cuts, especially serious wounds that need first aid treatment right away. The remedy to use would be pine sap. It is also good for acne, to clean up the inflammation with acne. Severe case of it responds fantastic with simply a plaster of pine sap over the skin. People can also make a tea out of the pine sap and drink it for lung problems, for congestion, and for sore throat by simply putting a little honey in it, a little lemon juice in it, a little garlic in it. Pine needles also are not far behind in its wonderful properties. Pine needles can be harvested all year long, but are best in the spring when the new growth is coming out. The needles are very high in vitamin C. We've been depending on a health food store to buy our vitamin C, but God has given us vitamin C in the package of the pine needles. And it's a better vitamin C because you don't have to pay for it. And all that thirst, come and drink. That's all God said, just drink. It's also antimicrobial properties. It helps with sore throats. One thing about it, the native Indians here in North America, when the people came over from England and Europe, the Indians taught them how to drink and use the pine needle tea because they were suffering so many horrible respiratory problems. There's another ingredient with the pine tree called pine pollen. Pine pollen has become quite popular here lately. It's known as a superfood. It's because it's high in testosterone. Testosterone is a male hormone that gives you stamina and strength. And so by simply taking in some of this pine pollen, then I don't have to say the rest, you got it figured out. There are many other benefits for the pine needle. It can improve your immune system. It improves your vision by simply washing your eyes out with a little weak pine needle tea can restore your eyesight and make your vision much stronger. It can kill out any infection in the eye. It stimulates circulation, especially if you put a little cayenne pepper in it. It would protect against any pathogens that would enter into the body, even a corona. It can protect you against it. It can improve your respiration. Pine needle tea is also a very good pain reliever. It also has anti-inflammatory properties that makes it perfect to be used as a healing salve. It's antiseptic, it's antibacterial, it's antifungal. All of these properties God has put in these trees. I only talked about 2 trees, and we all got enough to write a book on it. And everything that I've talked about, some of us have experienced some of these problems. Year after year and day after day, it's not going away, and it's not going to go away until we use God's own healing remedies. One precaution, pine needle tea can be toxic to animals and pets. This toxicity is very mild and can give some reaction to people that may have an allergic reaction to it. So I encourage sip it a little at a time to see if your body will accept it. Once again, it's a very mild reaction to humans. It's a very severe reaction to cows and horses, but not to humans, very mild. So don't let that keep you from using the pine needle tea. Simply just be cautious with it. I remember Ellen White, she said that beans was poison to her. That don't mean that beans was poison. That means that her digestion system was poison. And so she couldn't digest those beans. She said beans was my favorite food, but she couldn't eat it because it gave her so much gas and indigestion. So do you get rid of the beans? No, you fix the digestion problem. Now let's go to another tree, the poplar tree. And looking at the tall poplar tree, I see wonderful properties in the bud, in the bark, in the leaves. They are useful in the following disease: rheumatism, chronic diarrhea, fever, jaundice, kidney problems, hay fever, diabetes, influenza, especially, once again, in the age of corona, we need some poplar bark tea. It's also good for gangrene wounds, eczema. The next tree is a cedar tree. In this beautiful cedar, there is a splendid medicine properties: cough, fever, pulmonary. Now let's go back corona a little bit here. If you do not have pine trees, look for a cedar tree. If you do not have a cedar tree, look for a poplar tree. They all will work on the respiratory tract. I don't care where you are from. In this study, there would be plenty of choices you can make. You should never be without choices. And the cedar is one of the tops. The balm of Gilead, a beautiful balm of Gilead, which we admire so much for its wonderful fragrance, has excellent properties in the bark and the leaves for cough, colds, and lung trouble, kidney and urinary trouble. Once again, there's another choice. If you don't have the pine, you don't have the cedar, you don't have the poplar, do you have the balm of Gilead? It is excellent for scabies and for soothing inflamed parts and for sore throats. It's very valuable for colds and coughs. Make a gargle out of it if you have a sore throat. You can add a little honey to it, a lemon juice, a horehound to it, and garlic. It's fantastic. The balsam tree is an evergreen. It's part of the evergreen family, which makes it a part of the pine trees, which is used for Christmas tree. Talked to some people on an island, and they were saying, we don't have pine trees. We got Christmas trees. And I knew that there were some trees over there that they could use. And they said, we have Christmas trees. Well, let me tell you something about Christmas trees, what you call Christmas trees, which is fantastic for rheumatism, kidney trouble, inflammation, bladder, and urinary complaints. So this tree can also be used for any type of inflammation in the body. And one of the main things about corona disease is inflammation, especially of your major organs. Hemlock tree is another tremendous tree. It is very good for colds, fever, diarrhea, cough, scurvy. It's an astringent. It heals wounds. It is just fantastic. It really is. Let me tell you some more about the hemlock. It is used for kidney problems, bladder problems, to increase urine flow, especially with men that have prostate problem where their urine flow is weak. And they got trapped urine in the bladder, which can cause a lot of infections. Making some hemlock tea can increase the urine flow. And for women, it is good for a prolapsed uterus, especially if you drink this tea and do a knee chest exercise. You can reset the uterus that had dropped down too far in the pelvic area. Fantastic remedy. The only reason why women have problem with prolapse of the uterus, when they have a baby, they refuse to tone up their muscles, abdominal muscles, and the muscles get weak. and eventually the uterus can drop. And so they need to tone those muscles back up, drink a little hemlock tea, and get plenty of abdominal exercise. Do some douches with it. It's very good for diarrhea, and you will not be disappointed in its effect to help you. If you got bad smelling feet, you know how some of us have, you can sprinkle a little hemlock powder in your shoes and it take away the smell. You can also use it for goggling your mouth out. It's a good astringent for tightening your gum back up. Another tree that we're all familiar with, I really found out a lot about this tree when I was in Australia. It grows there and all over the place. And let's see what we can find out about it. The leaves are very useful for fever, acute chronic bronchitis, various form of asthma. So it is a special tree for the respiratory tract. I would love to use that, and I use that for my corona patient. And so Ellen White said a little eucalyptus with a little honey would work miracles by just taking a little of that. You can elaborate on that, put a little garlic, a little onion, a little cayenne pepper, a little lemon juice, eucalyptus and honey, and you got a fantastic remedy. If you could patent that remedy, you probably would have something that would outshine all the patent drugs for a respiratory problem. Now, this particular tree, a lot of these trees grow around here, especially for you that go back to Alabama. It is the native tree of Mississippi, but it grows in a number of places around the world. It is called the magnolia tree. You will never mistake this tree because of the beautiful flowers it has. Big, white, beautiful flowers, like a big bouquet on them. A little later on, when you go to Florence, you're going to see these big, beautiful green trees with these big, beautiful flowers. Well, it's more to it than just looking good. Yes, it is beautiful. And it's got a beautiful fragrance, smell with it. But it has some wonderful medicine properties about them. The bark is very effective against many ailments. It works better than quinine. That's what struck me. It's better than quinine. After you look at all the side effects from quinine, and they're now trying to figure out if this new drug, this malaria drug, which is made from quinine, will be effective with the coronavirus, and it is, but it has some side effects. But this one here has no side effects at all, and it's more powerful and more effective than the malaria drug. So you simply just take the leaves, make a strong tea out of it. You don't have to put a little honey in it because it's bitter, but it is fantastic. I normally incorporate the magnolia leaves powder in most of my cancer formulas. It also can help you get over the smoking habits. It is good for fever, pain or discomfort, bloatiness, feeling of fullness. It also can help you if you've got a problem with diarrhea and bacterial infections. The beautiful magnolia tree. I could just talk about it because that is just a fantastic tree. The next one is the beech tree. Another valuable tree is the beech, which is admired as a shade tree. The beech has some wonderful nuts, beech nuts, but it has some good medicine properties for stomach trouble, ulcers, liver, kidney, bladder, diabetes. It also can increase your appetite. It's excellent for a tonic measure. Now, can we already see that God gave the leaves for the healing of the nation? And we have neglected to look into these things. The leaves are good for nervous problems, for stomach upset. It's an astringent. It's good for wounds and sores. It also good for a woman has a swollen breast, inflamed breast. You can also treat animals with it too. You can put a poultice on a swollen area on a woman's breast. You can also, if an animal got a lump, a swollen area on their body, you can treat them the same way. It's fantastic. Just, make a tea by taking a heaping teaspoon to a cup of boiling water, let it steep 1/2 hour, and then, you can bathe the sore with that. the area that is inflamed. Also, it's antiseptic and it cleans out old sores. Finally, it's a good remedy for diabetes. Birch tree is another one that grows in this area where we live. It's a beautiful tree because I go back to the picture. In the wintertime, it's got these beautiful yellow and kind of a orange looking leaves after the leaves have changed color, and they're beautiful. But anyway, there's some good things about this tree. It's in the family of the wintergreen. It produces very similar substance such as wintergreen. It's good for the bowels, rheumatiz, gout. It purifies the blood, expels worms. It's good for sores and boils on the body when applied externally. If this is tree, as it states, is a part of the wintergreen, it also is good for any type of respiratory problem, which also will make it very good for dealing with corona.
Does it cut the worms out?
Well, it gives an unfavorable environment for them, and the body will expel them out.
And
It
they'll
kills
come
them.
out dead.
They will come out dead, yes. The slippery elm. I know as a young fella, I played with this tree, and I know this tree real well. They have the American slippery elm. They got slippery elms and Asian slippery elm. They grow in different places, but they're pretty much the same. And we would strip the bark off of them. And you know, the reason I know this tree so well because our grandparents would tell us to go out there and get them an elm switch. Some of y'all may know what an elm switch is. Well, elm switch was a real long branch that when you got to get a whipping, believe me, they could get you with that elm switch. Okay, so, but you can strip the bark off of it, and the inner bark, you can grind it up to a powder, and that's slippery elm. It is very good. It's you know, we make a tea out of it. You can drink it. A person that is real weak can live on that as nourishment until they gain their strength back. So if a person is so weak they can't eat, then let them just, you know, cook them some slippery elm and let them sip on that, and that would give them plenty of nourishment. It's good for lung trouble, bladder trouble, bowel trouble, stomach problem, kidney trouble, inflammation, ulcerated stomach, and bronchitis. So that can be used for corona also. It is one of the most nourishing plants available to us. And it will strengthen a weak stomach. Slippery elm will stay on an ulcerated and cancerous stomach when nothing else will. So if your stomach is so nervous that you're throwing up everything, try letting them sip on some slippery elm tea, and that will settle their stomach so they won't keep throwing up. Slippery elm is very good for female trouble. You can make a vaginal suppository out of it. You can do a douche out of it. You can put it in some of your bowel cleanser. It is very good as a vaginal suppository, a vaginal insert, especially when there's some type of problem with a woman's organ. The white ash. This is another tree that has some wonderful properties to them. Excellent for reducing any type of inflammation in the system by simply drinking a cup to a half a cup throughout the day. That's the ash tree, and let's see what we can do with that. We can make a tea out of it. It's very good for diarrhea, vaginal, in type of vaginal infection, such as vaginitis, candida, astringent with gargling and sore throat. If you're very low in vitamin C, it is very high in vitamin C. It can restore the vitamin C balance back into the body. It's also good for hemorrhoids.
Someone asked all the ones up for have like breathing and for bronchitis. Can you mix all these together?
Well, it may be a little overkill to mix all of them together. typically what you want to mix is maybe 2 or 3 together, and then you build some associated herbs around them, foods around them, such as if you're going to use the oak bark, then you might want to use oak and eucalyptus, hypothetically. Then you want to associate some things with it to help it in the system, like honey, like maple syrup, maybe like peppermint, cayenne pepper, lemon juice, garlic, onion. Those are associated elements that help them carry out their function. And so you don't need all of them to do that, 2 or 3 at most, and then build your formula around some associated elements that would help it perform its job. And you shouldn't be disappointed with that. The American mountain ash. Now, this is another one of those beautiful herbs that can be used in place of its chacona bark. The chacona bark is where they make quinine from. And that's the one that they're making this new malaria. They're using this malaria drug to fight against the corona. And they're having a measure of success with it. They're kind of skeptical because of the side effects. Well, the mountain ash can be used in a tonic and fever, and it can stop malaria. It is a very good substitute for the chacona bark. So, because it's very high in natural quinine. So once again, God has supplied each area with what they need. That's the American mountain ash. This is a linden tree, and they grow around here. Beautiful tree. The linden has heart-shaped leaves, indicated of his ability to gladden the heart. And so you do feel good when you see this tree because it's so beautiful. And if you're stressed, just sitting out under its branches will calm you down. It produced a very beautiful aroma from it that seemed to quieten the nervous system. It's amazing how that some trees and herbs have what they call signals that signifies that they can work on a particular organ or a particular part of the body. And it's kind of like mandrake. If you dig up a mandrake root, it looks like a man's body. And it's very good for cleaning out the whole system, especially the liminary system. Bloodroot looks like blood when you break it open. And so this herb, this linden herb, it looks like a heart, so it calms and help relieve stress in the body. Let's look at some of the actions of it. It lowers the blood pressure because it what? It calms the nervous system down. It's a vasodilator. Once again, those blood vessels get constricted because a lot of tension and stress. It calms that down. It's a vasodilator. It actually moisture and remove mucus out of the system. It increases perspiration, which can increase your immune system. It's anti-inflammatory. And so it just relaxes your whole system if you're under a lot of anxiety. It is useful in colds. When you drink it hot, it increases perspiration. Once again, it's good for the stomach, the bladder, and it's really good for headaches, epileptic, sore throats. Now, this is another remedy here. It's called the horse chestnut. We have a couple of chestnut trees on this property. The chestnut trees got infected with a parasite, and we lost a lot of chestnut trees. But there's a few still living. I think I've seen one on our property here. But they are really good trees. I remember when a man was clearing some land on my property, and he was about to push down this one chestnut tree, and I told him, no, don't push that down. So we still have at least one chestnut tree here. I don't know whether it ever produced because, like I say, it was infected with a parasite. But the chestnut is a type of tree that grows throughout northern hemisphere. In the herbal and folk medicine, horse chestnut seeds and leaves and barks and flowers have long been used to relieve symptoms such as swelling, inflammation, also strengthen the blood vessels. If you have problem with aneurysm, blood vessel bursting open, then chestnut can strengthen the blood vessels. It's good for circulatory system. It's good for diarrhea, hemorrhoids, and varicose veins. Now you can see why it's good for varicose veins because it's good for what? Strengthening those blood vessels. And that's because of a weakness, very low level of vitamin C is the reason why people develop varicose veins. Still talking about the chestnut, it is one of the better foods, nuts for food. It's high in carbohydrates and starches and contain mineral metals such as phosphorus, potash, and manganese, and some sodium and iron. The next one is a butternut tree. The bark and leaves of the root of the butternut trees are used for medicine. It's a good laxative. It expels worms from the intestinal tract. It's good for chronic constipation. It's also very good for the liver, and it's good for fever of all kinds and colds. The peach tree, I know a lot about this tree. One of the first trees that I learned in herbal medicine. If a woman have severe monthly pain, this tree will reduce her monthly pain almost 65 to 70%. If you have severe gastritic or stomach ulceration, drinking 2 or 3 cups of the peach leaf tea will stop the pain almost immediately. This is one of those herbs that I will boast on when people say they don't believe natural medicine work. This one will never fail you. This is a very powerful one. The same token is very high in quinine, so it can be used to deal with high fevers associated with the coronavirus. Mm-hmm. Say that again. Is there any side effects? I've never seen any. I've never seen any, except for the peach kernels. If you eat too much of it, it's had laetrile in it. But the laetrile is a protective element that the plant developed to protect its fruit from pests and insects. So, and so when we get too greedy, it can also inhibit us too. So eating a few of those seeds is good, but eating too many can be some problem. It's good for if morning sickness. If a woman is pregnant and she's having a lot of problems throwing up, it's cellular the stomach. It's good for female pain, and that's one thing I learned about. That's very good for that. The next tree is the apple tree. The apple tree, with its delicious fruit, also has valuable medicine properties. The bark is most useful for gravel in the bladder as a tonic. It is also good for the liver. It's good for fever. It is rich in potassium, sodium, and magnesium, irons, and contribute to the building up of blood and bones. So apple a day keeps the doctor away. It probably is right about that. The apple is if you're worried about your pH, eating sweet apples will reduce the acid. If you're worrying about those who have not enough acid, then eat the sour apples. If you don't have enough acid in your stomach, that means if you have digestional problems and you need a little more hydrochloric acids, eating too many sweet apples, apple juice, can lower your hydrochloric acid. But eating sour apples can increase your hydrochloric acid.
I have read, I, someone who wanted to lose weight. They ate apples only for almost a month. Is that a good practice? To do good, can it sustain you?
I don't think selecting one food and eating for a prolonged period of time is a healthy practice. You can lose weight like that, but you can suffer severe mineral and vitamin deficiencies. I mean, that would be fine for a short period of time. But I think that the best way to lose weight is to eat a balance, a modest and balanced meal, low in fats and protein. And I think you're going to lose weight. A high complex carbohydrate diet, you're going to lose weight. It is just when we take complex carbohydrates and mix fats with it and grease with it, additional protein with it, then we turn a complex carbohydrate to a simple carbohydrate. And we think we're getting a benefit from a complex carbohydrate, but we're not. We have disarranged the complexness of that complex carbohydrate, switch it to a simple carbohydrate, and now you increase those calories, you're going to gain weight. Now, all I said is simply you take a piece of tofu and you fry it in grease. That's really what I said. That tofu will not cause you to gain weight. But if you fry it in grease, that oil is high calorie. It's going to change it and make it a high calorie food, and you're going to gain weight. So these are the things you have to watch out for. If you really want to lose weight, eat complex carbohydrate. Eat your salads first. Fill up on the salads and your fruit first. Save that food that you love the best for last. You may not finish it because you may be too full to finish it. And you will lose weight, the stomach will shrink, and you have less problems with that.
The pits of the seed, the pits of the apple can.
Now, the apple seeds is another one that can poison you and can take your life if you eat too many of them. But you have to eat a lot of apple seeds. I don't think many people are crazy enough to sit there and eat a whole cup of apple seeds. But if they do, they're trying to commit suicide. And it will help them do it. Okay, but eating a few apple seeds, 5 or 6 apple seeds, you know, it's not going to do anything. If anything, it'll help your immune system. Cherries, tree. Cherry tree is good for tuberculosis. It helps reduce phlegm in the body. It's good for bronchitis, good for stomach problem, fever, and high blood pressure. Hickory tree is another good tree. It's a tough tree that we use for making all type of axe helms and wagon wheels out of it. So it can do more than just help us medically. It can help us be able to carry out our daily work better. But it is a laxative. It purifies the system. It can be used to wash ulcers and sores. It is very good against treating colitis. Tamarack, y'all probably know this tree. You know, one thing that stands out with this tree is that the chewing gum, you know, it throws out a sap and you can chew it and it's got a sweet taste to it and remind you of chewing gum. And it is very good. It's got a nice flavor to it. There's some medicine properties about it. It's a diuretic. It has a laxative effect. It works good against jaundice. If you have a low red blood count, it's good for people with anemic condition, rheumatism, cold, and skin ailments. You can gargle with it, sore throat. The inner bark is a disinfectant. A poultice made from the warm boiled inner bark is applied to wounds to draw out infections. So it's really good. Adder is another tree. It's good for swelling, any type of painful swelling, by simply crushing the leaves and applying it over the inflammation. especially if you have a swollen breast like mastitis. You can crush the leaves and apply it the same way you would do a cabbage poultice. Cinnamon, very good for diabetes. It's a good laxative. It also calms the stomach. So you can see as we went through all these trees, and I haven't even touched it, but I'm just kind of giving you an idea of what can be done. Prickly ash, help with sores in the mouth. If a person got cancerous sores in the mouth or canker sores, then what you want to do is gargle it, the mouth out with some prickly ash tea. The cypress tree that grow in the swamps is very good. I mean, it has some really good properties about them. It can stop excessive bleeding, improve circulation. It can help you breathe with ease. And there are many other things with the cypress tree can do, as is aromatic, so it can actually calm you down and give you a relaxing feeling. But probably the main thing is it's just so good in stopping bleeding. The person is bleeding internally, try to get them to drink some cypress tea. Apricots. Apricot is antioxidant. It promotes good eye health. It also gives you good skin quality. It's high in potassium. It protects your liver. Hawthorn. Out of all the trees I've talked about, hawthorn is the one that have been scientifically analyzed and validated. And it has been proven by the medical research that it will lower your blood pressure, that it will tone your heart if you got congested heart failure, especially in conjunction with cayenne pepper. Dogwood, there are many different types of dogwood. You got Jamaican dogwood, you got American dogwood, but they all are very good. They stimulate appetite, they increase your strength, and they're very good for working with pain, especially the Jamaican dogwood. The black seed, now there are many different types of black seed, and you wonder where they get black seed from. Well, black seed come from many different sources. One is the tropical palm tree. They get a black seed from that. And the black seed is very good. It's very potent. It's good against toothaches, headaches, congestion, asthma, arthritis, intestinal worms, and so on. Pink eye, parasites. So next time you get some black seed, remember it is doing more to help your body with a proper balance. Prickly ash, it helps balance your liver function, help women with chronic female trouble. It's antispasmodic, it calms the system down. It also helps remove mucus out of the system. It removes obstructions in every part of the body. It is very good for asthma and colds, which once again can be used with corona also. Gum tree. This is another one of those trees as a child. We used to always find a gum tree, climb the gum tree, and chew the gum off of it. Couldn't buy no chewing gum, so we chewed gum. And it really, you get a whole mouthful of it, feel like you're chewing gum. But it's good for other things such as stomach inflammation, bowels, uterine, vaginal condition. Vaginal condition. Another one is the black willow. The black willow tree is a wonderful tree. It's an old tree that people used to use. They don't use much of it anymore. It's a good tonic. It's a good blood purifier. It increases the flow of urine. It also helps build up the system. It's useful in kidney and liver disease. It's a splendid remedy for children's disease. You got a disarranged liver, it can help get that liver back in balance. You got a poor complexion, It can definitely help get your complexion back. They can. Okay, so it's very useful for headaches. And so these trees are only scratching the surface. I did not even get to the tropical trees. I didn't even go to the Caribbean trees. Most of these trees was in Europe and North America. I have the Caribbean trees. I have the tropical trees too, that will do the same thing that these other trees has done. So I'm going to stop with that, and maybe at another time I'll go through the tropical trees with you, so you can see that no one has been left out. God has given these trees for the healing of the nation, and it would behoove us to begin to study these trees. You can download an app called Picture This, and you can go out and take pictures of the trees, and it would help you learn what that tree is. Then you take your little computer gadget and look it up and study the qualities and the properties of those trees. You will learn the trees much faster than you will learn the herbs. I learned the trees first, and the trees taught me how to learn the herbs. If you try to learn the herbs, it's too many of them. They look just alike. But trees have their own personality. You can learn them, and it'll help you learn the herbs. Any questions or thought before I close?
Elder,
Yes.
could we have that slide, that the up what do you call it? That PowerPoint? Could we have a copy? We've been trying to take notes, but is it possible to have a copy of the PowerPoint?
Yes, you can have it. It's just a matter of us figuring out how to get it to you. Maybe my son can do that. I don't know how to do it.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, he said just send an email and then he could send that to you.
Elder, what books would you recommend that have this information?
It's no book that has this information. It's a collection of information from way back, gathered here and there and all over the place. Jeffrey Klaus, Back to Eden, Google.
Right.
My personal experience with some of these herbs. No, there's no one source. This is probably a book that I'm sharing with y'all here today. So.
Hello, Elder. Can you get this on DVD?
Can I get you some DVDs?
Yeah, on this.
I can give you the PowerPoint presentation and then you can teach it. How about that?
Yes, please. The PowerPoint is much better. Thank you.
Okay, I don't mind doing that.
Thank you, Elder.
I'm very lazy. I'm trying to get you to work so I don't have to work so hard.
Amen.
Praise the Lord.
Thank you.
Sorry, Elder. I've got a question. I just wanted to know the name of the app that you said we can download.
He put it in, my son put it in the chat. It's called Picture This.
Picture disc.
This.
Yeah. Yes, we have it. I've seen that. Picture this, and it can tell you the type of the tree.
So you just download that app and just go out there and start taking pictures of herbs and trees, and it'll tell you exactly what it is. Be close.
Hello, can I ask a question, please? Hello?
Yes.
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay, just regarding the hawthorn tree, if somebody wants to take it for to strengthen their heart, how should they take it? Is it the leaves? How often and for how long?
And you said hawthorn berries?
Hawthorn, the hawthorn tree. Yeah. Is it the leaves or the berries?
Well, the berries is the best. What you want to do is to steep about 1 ounce of hawthorn berry powder in about 12 ounces of water. And you want to drink about 4 ounces of that 3 times a day. Be good to put a little cayenne pepper in it and a little ginger in it.
cayenne and ginger.
Yeah.
Okay. If I just say 1 ounce of hawthorn berry powder with 12 ounces of water. Did you say how much? 3 times a day? Was it 4 ounces? Three
Yeah,
times.
about 4 ounces 3 times a day.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Hi, Elder. Hello.
Yes,
I
hello.
always thought that hemlock was poisonous. And there's many sort of stories about people using it to poison people. Have you heard anything about that?
You know, they had one baby they gave hemlock to, and they said that they think it poisoned the baby. They wasn't sure about that. In
I couldn't hear you.
the whole history of hemlock, they said there was one child that drank some hemlock, ate some hemlock berries, and it died. They're not even sure that was accurate. But there's a single case of any death from hemlock from that.
Going back to the hemlock, can I just ask, how would you use it to tighten the gums or restore the gums?
I would just make a strong tea and gargle. Just make a strong tea and gargle your mouth out and hold it and then spit it out, rinse it out.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, no more questions?
Okay, very good.
Thank you so much, Elder.
Can I just ask one question, Sister Miriam, please?
Okay.
One question, Elder. Someone have a pain. I don't know, Sister Miriam, what do you call it? Chibayo. If you have chibayo, like
side pain.
Stitch. Yeah, it's a stitch pain right at the shoulder blade. In
Side stitches.
Yeah, side stitches. Yes, but it's right here. It sometimes tend to move because of the hip, and then it goes on to the especially mostly on the shoulder, and you kind of move the shoulder. What kind of pain? What pain? And
Now, I'm trying to figure out, now you said that the pain is in the shoulder blade.
yes, it's like just just down at the shoulder blade, I'll say.
Do the pain travel down your arm?
To the hip? No, not the arm, but the hip.
To the hip?
The hip, yeah, sometimes.
Do it travel on the same side of where the pain is, toward the head?
Yes.
How many bowel movements does a person have in a day?
Probably once, twice.
Yeah. You probably figured out their problem. They probably got some trapped gas pockets in the muscles.
Okay.
And I would get them up to 2 or 3 bowel movements a day. Let them drink some ginger tea, a little fennel tea, to try to reach those gas pockets. And you might want to just take some DMSO, olive oil, rub over the shoulder, and rub DMSO over the top of it. Take your infrared light, a 250 watt infrared light bulb, and shine that over it. Keep it moving so it won't burn them. And you can move that gas pocket out, and and let them exercise that pain until they get that pocket out. It sounds like that's what it is. Now, if that pain had come down their arm to their hand, then that's a sign of a cardiovascular problem.
Okay. Okay.
Even though it's in the back, it's telling me that there is something wrong in the heart.
Okay. What's BMSO?
DMSO.
DMSO is water extract from pine trees. It's a natural water. Pine trees have 2 extracts, a fatty substance, and a water substance. Water soluble and a fat soluble. The water soluble is what DMSO is made out of.
Okay.
And it's a solvent. So that means that when you put it on your skin, it will penetrate through your skin into your muscles. That means if you use it, you cannot have any chemicals on your skin that come in contact with DMSO, because it will pull it right into your bloodstream. But it's very powerful. It will remove most pain and inflammation from the body.
Okay, thank you.
Elder, what do you suggest for someone who suffers with a lungs trouble?
With lung trouble?
Yeah, inflammation in the lungs.
Well, I mean, I would definitely get some pine needle tea, some honey, lemon and garlic and onion, a little cayenne pepper. Let them sip on that.
How often you suggest?
As often as they want to. It won't hurt them. They can drink it 5 times a day. The more they drink, the better they're going to get.
Okay. Thank you.
Elder, one more question. What can you suggest for headache? I tend to get migraine when I eat citrus fruit, but different with lemon as well. If I, like lately with the corona, I've been trying to drink more of lemon water, but now it's giving me migraine.
You said that lemon is giving you migraine.
Yeah. Because I tried to figure out the other day, I just had really migraine because I've been drinking, lemon water. And this, and when I stopped drinking it, so I just said, let me stop it. And I stopped and the headache stopped. But when I tried it, the headache was just so bad.
Do oranges give you a headache?
Yes, certain oranges, but they're different because here we have got different, we have got the mandarin, like the main oranges, they're different oranges as well. So I don't know which one, but when I eat some oranges, I get migraine. When I eat certain oranges, I don't get migraine. And the nectarine, the natches, the clementines, there's the clementines, tangerine, and the nadicot, they're different types. If I eat the clementine, I'm okay. But I eat the other one, the mandarin and nadicot, I have migraine. I don't know.
No. You probably had to check your pH. Check your pH. Get some litmus paper. Check your pH. If your pH, and you can let me know if you're too acid or too alkaline. Okay. Because typically lemon, the citric acid shouldn't do that unless your pH is off.
Unless my pH is low.
It could be either too acid or too alkaline.
Okay.
It's good possibility it may be too alkaline because lemon is an alkalinity.
Yeah.
Until it's, when it get inside your body, it turns to alkalinity. Outside the body is acidity. So if you drinking the lemon juice, it should convert to alkalinity. If that gives you a headache, then your alkalinity may be too high. And you need to, but you're only going to find out if you do a pH test, litmus paper.
While we are on that, Elder, how do you do that? Do you put the litmus paper on your tongue with the saliva, or do you taste your urine? What do you taste with the litmus paper?
Yes, you do. You take the litmus paper, you just, put it on your tongue, and it's got you can do it urine and tongue, saliva, either one. And it's got a color code on it. We are going to be starting a medical missionary training, and you all are invited to participate. And that'll be real soon. I'm working on it every day to try to get it going within the next 2 weeks. It's online training, and we'll get to explain these things to you.
Okay. Elder, how do you treat chronic back pain?
Chronic back pain?
Yeah.
Well, it really depends on what is it coming from. Back pain could be from an injury. Back pain could be, muscle spasms. Yes, constipation. I should let Margaret or some of them talk to you. We got some medical missionaries here. They want to help me out. I wish they would. Dehydration. Okay, you want to come in and tell her that? Okay, you can talk all the way to London, England. So, yeah, one of the missionaries said dehydration, constipation, all of that could do it. An injury, so it's a number of things you got to look for to see. Bad posture could do it. So you really need to know more of what is the reason for that.
I have a question. Can I please ask?
Yes, darling.
Is there are there any natural remedies that can help for post-nasal drip back?
Yes. I want you to hold that thought just for a minute. We need to have prayer here just for a quick minute. Dear Father, once again, Lord, thank you so much, Lord, for your kindness. And thank you, Lord, for your grace. Now bless us, Lord. Lord, you share your remedy in the healing properties of the trees. Lord, I just pray, Father, we will pay attention to the trees and appreciate these beautiful trees, Lord, that you've given us for comfort, for medicine, and for food. In Christ's name, amen. Okay, now what was you saying?
I wanted to ask, are there any natural remedies that can help post-nasal drip back?
Well, I mean, you know, you first got to do is you want to syringe your nose out. And I would syringe it out with some salt water. That's what I would do. And then I would find out, you know, are you allergic to something that's causing you to produce all this mucus?
I don't know. I'm not aware of any allergies.
Well, then I would clean out, just syringe your nose out with some salt water. And that's what I would do. It may have, you know, sometimes pollen, ragweed, stuff like that can make you do that. Typically, anytime you have a post-nasal drip, you want to boost your immune system with a little extra vitamin C, take a little golden seal, you know, kind of just maybe take a facial inhalation where you take hot steam with a little eucalyptus or peppermint in it and inhale that into your face and then rinse your nose out.
Okay, thank you.
All righty.
Hi, I got a sty in my eye. It comes like every once a year. Just wondering if you have any answers for that.
You said a sty in your eye?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a bacterial infection. What you want to do is to take something like a metal spoon, a serving spoon, and you want to put that in the freezer. And the best thing to do is to probably take a piece of cloth and wrap around the spoon. Wrap a piece of cotton cloth around and dip it in some water. Put that in the freezer. And then hold that, boost your eye.
Yeah, yeah. Cool.
Just hold it. Because that bacteria, that sty bacteria, won't live. Once you put that cold on it, it will kill that staph bacteria. And you do that, and you do that several times, it will kill it. It's keep coming back because it's not really killing it. It's just go dormant and then it come back.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
I would rinse my eyes out with some pine needle tea. You know, that would be a good, if you don't have pine needle tea, then, you know, put a couple of drops of lemon juice in your eyes in the morning, twice a day.
Hi, I'd like to ask a question. Can you advise on what to do for a ganglion cyst, please?
Probably best thing to come to me would be a fig poultice. Get you some dried figs. And typically about 2 or 3 dried figs, cut them in half, heat them up in an oven or a microwave, and apply that over the cyst. And keep it pressed up against it, and it'll bring the cyst to a head. And it would open up and drain out.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, I've got a question.
I have a question as well.
We've
hello?
kind of gone over our time.
Okay, all right.
Elder, as you can see, there's still so many questions. Can I collect the questions and get them to you?
You can try, but I mean, you know, this is the era of Corona.
You are very busy. Okay.
Corona patients coming out of my ears.
I know.
Make a difference over everything else.
Okay, let's see if we can try to, because we have gone nearly 40 minutes over. So let's see. We're just gonna go through maybe 3 questions since you've got this one chance with Brother Mamon. We don't know when we'll get him next. So just 3 more questions, and I think we'll close because we might get in trouble with the elders now.
Yeah, can I be the 3rd person?
Okay.
Could I ask a question too? One last question too?
Okay.
Thank
And
you.
I actually put my question as a message and it wasn't answered. So is it possible to answer my question as well?
Let me go through the questions that are on the chart.
Thank you.
Elder, can you see the questions on the chart? We've asked migraines. There is someone with migraines on their monthly period.
Is someone on having migraine on their period?
Yes.
Yes. What they need to do is they need to take calcium, magnesium. That calcium, magnesium level drop when a woman goes on her period. So they need to start regularly taking in 1,000 milligrams of calcium twice a day, 400 milligrams of magnesium twice a day. And then their iron count drops. They need to take 1 tablespoon of blackstrap molasses 2 to 3 times a day. They need to make sure their bowels are moving at least twice a day, and that migraines will stop. They stop having those migraines.
Excellent.
One herb they can take for the migraines is called feverfew. Take 1 tablespoon of feverfew in a cup of hot water, drink that twice a day.
Cup of water.
Okay. You know the feverfew, is that to be taken just during the monthly or all the time?
Well, anytime you suspect a headache gonna come, but anytime somebody have a headache, what you want to do is to get them a hot foot bath and a cold compress on the head.
Because to be honest with you, I have been increasing my magnesium and calcium anyway because I'd already received that advice, and it hasn't really it's decreased it, but it hasn't helped it completely.
Well, then are you anemic?
Not as far as I know. No, I'm not.
Okay, now, I mean, typically if this come during your monthly cycle, that means your iron count is dropping during that time. You probably can build it back up before you start your next cycle. But it depends on how many days you stay on your cycle.
Okay.
Now, if you stand on your cycle 7 days, anything over 7 days, then you do have a problem with your blood. It should be between 3 to 5 days.
Okay.
Yeah. 7 days.
All right. Thanks for that.
Hello. Can I ask my question?
I was just checking on the what's left. We've talked about boosting the immune system. I think we've had a lot on that. And bald head for women. Somebody's asking about bald head for women. Any advice?
Any advice for what now?
Bald head. A bald head for women, for a woman.
Oh, that's alopecia, isn't it?
Alopecia, yeah.
Yes.
And gray hair as well.
I don't think I'm doing much for gray hair, but
yes.
But anyway, there's glory in old horror heads. But alopecia, there's different types of alopecia. Some of the alopecia is created by using perms and conditioners that have destroyed the hair follicles, and by pressing the hair. And if you're pressing the hair, remember, pressing means you fried the hair. If you fried the hair, you killed the hair. The hair shafts are dead. And eventually, you're not going to produce any good quality hair. If you're using chemicals and hard conditioners, that too can destroy the hair. So I'm saying, let's say you rule out all of that. It's none of that. Then it is truly alopecia. There are different types. There's alopecia where the hair fall off in the top of the head. There's alopecia where the hair fall off on the side of the head. There's alopecia where the hair fall off all over your body, nothing left. So anytime it's like that, it's a hormone problem. So we have to balance the hormones, get the hormones back in balance. To effectively treat a condition like that, I have to work with your physician. I have to tell him to do some tests, hormone tests, and I have to rebalance your hormones so that you'll start growing back hair. But if your hair's falling in patches, it could be alopecia or it could be induced. I don't know.
Hi, could I ask a question?
Yes.
Hi, I wanted to ask you if you deal with bipolar disorder.
Yes, I do.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. It's that I've suffered it for 30 years. And just this past year, I've been coming off medication. And it's been very hard, but I've been taking some natural medication as well to complement it. But, you know, it's pretty hard ongoing because obviously I can't see the person that's been treating me because, you know, all that's what's been happening. And I wanted to, if you had any advice for me that, you know, having to deal with it, because I do get sleepless nights and stuff because of it. And my brain's been moving about because of obviously leaving the medication and things.
Yeah, I would recommend that you email me and let me send you a program for that, because you're dealing with a condition, you need to get it right. And these are just quick remedies I'm talking about right here.
Oh, thank you so much. I will email you. Thank you very much for saying that. My name is Alexandra, so I will email you. Okay, thank you.
Some other people were asking for your email address. It's mamonwilson@gmail.com, isn't it?
MamonWilson3@gmail.com.
Okay, thank you very much. I will email you.
Okay. I wanted to ask a question for my son. He sneezes all year round, January to December. I've thought it's allergies, but there's nothing helping. So I don't know. Can you help?
Okay, now repeat that again.
My son sneezes all year round from January to December. So I've given him all sorts for allergies, antihistamines, but I don't know what to do anymore. He just really sneezes. He can sneeze half the night.
Yeah. He's got some allergies. That's what's doing that. I can tell you right now, I know what that is. And the best thing he can use is the charcoal nose filters.
Okay. Charcoal nose filters.
Charcoal nose filters, and put it in. That'll trap all the ragweed, dust, pollen, chemicals, everything from getting in there, irritating the sinus cavity. But that's what that is.
Is there any time, does he use it at night only? Because he sneezes even during the day or at work, he's sneezing.
Yeah. It's just it's allergies that's doing that.
Yeah, okay. All right. Thank you.
While we are on the charcoal nose filters,
where can we get them, please, sis? Where can we get the charcoal nose filters?
I was just about to ask that. Where can we get them? And when we do the course, could you show us how to make them as well?
So I'm trying to remember the name of it. Tell Tanya, because she can be for a minute. I have to get the person that ordered them for me to down here to tell you that. It's gold something. I don't. Anyway, I'll let her tell you.
Is that everyone?
Question in the chat.
Tanya.
About arthritis.
Hello?
Okay, pardon?
Hello?
Okay, there was a question about arthritis as well.
Yeah, thank you.
For arthritic pain.
Yeah.
What is good for arthritis?
Well, there's a number of things you can do for arthritis. Now, like I said, I'm just giving quick remedies now. You really need a program to work with these problems. These are just quick remedies. And most of the time when you do quick remedies, you got to do some other things with it. But, you know, for the sake of time with arthritis, a cabbage poultice, pound some cabbage, apply it, rub some olive oil, DMSO with the infrared light, that would help. Tanya, can you tell them where you get the nose filters from?
Go to gadgets, that's G as in God, A, D, G again, ETSGO.com. And when you go to the search engine, just type in nose filters. So it's gadgetsgo.com.
Thank you. Thank you.
And since you're there, you can start answering these questions.
We thank y'all very much for your questions. But if you have any more questions, please feel free to just email us and we can try to do some assessments with you to try to help you out, okay?
Amen. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you so much. We're
God
gonna have to close. Elder, please close us with a prayer. Thank you so much.
All right, sis. I don't know.
Elder.
Yes.
Can we close with a prayer and as we say goodbye to you and everybody else? Thank you so much.
Okay, she will, sis. Dear loving Father, which art in heaven, dear Lord, we are sincerely, Lord, agonizing, Lord, that you will continue to work with your people. And Lord, I know that time is running short and we have yet a long ways to go. But dear Father, I pray that the incidents that is happening in this world, Lord, will hasten your people to work at a pace, even a rapid pace, to make preparation, for the signs are here and it's plain. And if we tarry any longer, remember Lot's wife. Bless us now, dear Father, and strengthen us. And Lord, let these little things we have shared, Lord, let them resonate in our mind. And Lord, let us use these things in case of incidents and sickness. And let us claim that Christ will restore if we obey. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much. Thank you. And God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Amen. Bye.